Hello, everybody, and welcome to the very first episode of our podcast here. We are so excited to be doing this. We're a little bit nervous. It's our first time being podcasters, but we want to thank all of you that are taking time to tune in. This is going to be our very first and hopefully not our last episode of Teach Me How to Retire. So we're new faces to everybody out there in internet land that we're talking to, right? So for those of you that don't know me, hopefully there's people besides just my family that's watching this, but my name is Garrett Gibson. I am one of the partners and financial planners at Pinnacle Financial Advisors in Price, Utah. And sitting next to me is another member of our team, Van Mays, who is also an owner and a partner in Pinnacle Financial Advisors.
And also new to podcasting, and also assuming that all of my family are tuned in.
Absolutely. For today's episode, we wanted to kind of start, we thought it'd be fun. So at our firm, for those of you that don't know us, we have 3 partners that work at our firm that are all licensed financial advisors and planners. So we thought it would be fun for people to get to know us first before we just jump out the gates and start educating and rambling about things that we've learned and things that we know. We thought it'd be fun to give you a chance to get to know us as people a little bit better first. And so today we're going to kind of lead into that by having an interview with Van. And so I will interview Van, and we'll get to know a little bit about what makes Van work and tick, and how he thinks about the world, and how he's come to be, where he's at in his life right now. And then we'll do continuing episodes with our other partner and with me as well. And so that's kind of the plan for today. So Van, are you ready to be interviewed?
I don't think I've ever been officially interviewed, and so
okay,
we'll just take it away and go see what we get.
So tell me, Van, I know you're spent a good chunk of your life working here in Price.
Right.
And most of the people that are familiar with your name are probably familiar with your name connected to your time here in Carbon County.
Correct.
But this is not where you were born and raised, correct?
That's correct. Had a life before Price, and so born and raised in Moab, Utah. And many of you are familiar with Moab. It's kind of become known as the adventure capital of the world, and used to be known as the uranium capital of the world. And
okay.
so when I was growing up in Moab, it truly was small town. We kind of had the area to ourselves. Yeah. We grew up hiking and camping and biking, and but pretty well take off whenever we wanted to. And so Moab's changed a lot, but that was truly small town America, and really fun to grow up there and be a part of the things Moab in those early years.
Yeah, absolutely. So like in my lifetime, it's gotten busier for sure, right. But still I connect Moab with tourism, right? So we used to go down there for field trips to see the arches and things like that. But I used to always hear crazy stories from some individuals, kind of like you're saying back when it was a small town, that they were able to take their vehicles and drive right up to the arches, that there wasn't kind of the paths.
Right.
Is that the memories you have?
Yeah, it really was. I mean, for us, and again, growing up, most of those memories, we left town to go to college, right after graduation down there. But growing up in those junior high and high school years, we did a lot of hiking and camping in the arches, up through the arches. We would float the Colorado River, but not in a raft or anything that was, sponsored or company sponsored. We'd just jump in an inner tube and have the parents dump us off up the river, 5, 6, 10 miles, and float the river. So
hope to find them on the way down.
Yeah, hope we were okay on the way down. But
well, that's awesome. I know there's a lot of people that probably have a little bit of envy of that. Say, man, I wish, because it's so busy down there now. So
yeah, it really is. It really is. In fact, one tip, I hope I don't give it out too often, really, for the locals around, that the time to hit Moab now is really, hit those December and January and February times, and get that mid-50s degree, put on a jacket and go enjoy, and you can still kind of beat the crowds.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, tell me a little bit, Van, about growing up in Moab. What was your family like?
Yeah, kind of a smaller family. One brother, one sister. My parents came to Moab in the uranium boom in the mid 50s.
Okay.
My dad worked for the telephone company and installed some of the first phone lines that were in Moab in the 50s, and then throughout his career, continued working for the phone company and helped manage the company down there over time. So, we were, typical small town family that really got to know your neighbors. You got to know you knew who you lived around. You kind of took care of each other. You knew what was going on, and just a lot of that. The town was small enough that most everybody knew everybody.
Correct. Yeah.
And so I can always remember just making my parents making sure that they when we were out there in the community, make sure you don't do anything crazy.
Yeah. It'll get back to us.
Want to represent your family well out there. So yeah,
absolutely.
But it was fun growing up, and a lot of lessons learned growing up in small town. A smaller family, I guess, but it was good times.
Yeah. And would you say, Van, that kind of experience, being raised that way, changed anything about you, or formulated some of the, morals and foundations you have today?
Yeah, I think it did, to probably quite an extent. I mean, I think about just watching, friends and neighbors and, people over the years, just having that trust and that respect and that hard work ethic. And of course, uranium mining, I mean, it's a mining town similar to, Price has been for so many years. And so, just really being able to, everything we did, it seemed like it took an effort to do it.
Yeah.
And you were proud of what you were able to accomplish, and your neighbors were proud as well, and everybody's kind of pulling for the same thing.
Yeah.
And so that's what that felt like. And I think it did make me more aware of exactly what families that kind of pull together and stick together, and how that can help not only your own family but all those around you. And probably really brought on my choice to go to SUU, a smaller town college. That just felt good being down there in Cedar City, and learned a lot from going to school down there. And a lot of people did well. Head to the big city too, but in the bigger schools. But for me, it was a real good fit, and being able to learn and be mentored by a lot of really good people that I think you can get close to in a small town as well. And that's what we've experienced here. I mean, in Price for so many years, you just get close to people and you get to know people quite well, and I think that's to me that's part of the fun of life in general, is just getting to know people really well and having those long-term associations.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you mentioned leaving Moab, you went to school at SUU. So when you went to school at SUU, were you planning on working in financial advice and financial planning?
Not necessarily financial planning, but definitely went down there with an eye toward the business end of things, business and accounting and finance. I always liked that world a lot. I was terrible in calculus and high math, but I really took to the finance and accounting arena, I guess. And so that's going down. I just want to make sure I was able to come out of there with all the knowledge that at least the school had to give me, kind of an accounting and finance and business area.
Okay. Well, you did better than I did, because at least you went down there with an intent of getting in kind of the area you were at. When I first went to school, I had this grand plan that I was going to be an engineer. And I'm like you, calculus was not my strong suit. So why I thought that was a good idea, I have no idea. But I went to the University of Utah with that goal. And I remember after a year or so of college thinking, what am I doing? I don't like any of my classes. I thought, man, I'm just going to hate this. So I ended up switching to go kind of into the, studying business. And thought, well, I'll be somewhere that I think I'd enjoy. And then I ended up really enjoying it. So at least you went down there and ended up sticking to the goal you did. You have to sift around as much as I probably did. So
it was kind of interesting. I did. I kind of found the accounting world real fascinating in the beginning, and so that's really was my first job out of school, was heading back to Moab, and the uranium industry was still going at that time.
Yep.
So I ended up with my first job as an accounting manager out at Rio Algam Corporation in Moab, in the uranium area. And spent the next 20 years in accounting and finance. And, good career, good industries, the mining industry. But yeah, it's definitely something that you I guess just branch out from there and realize you like working with people and like making a difference. So
absolutely. So you mentioned you went to Moab and worked in the uranium mines in accounting. What got you to Price?
Yeah, would have stuck around the Moab area. The uranium industry kind of went belly up in early 1980s.
Okay.
And so once the uranium industry was done, Moab really pivoted and started working toward, hey, we're going to become more of a tourism capital.
Yeah.
And not a lot of jobs really at that point in time. So came up to Price and looked for work in this area, and Plateau Mining Company is where I spent the next almost 20 years after we got going and here in Price, and really raised our family here in Price. And again, kind of in that accounting and finance field, which was fantastic. And then, as everyone that's been around the mining industry knows, especially back in the heyday of the mining, good place to be, lots of good people, good benefits, a good way to raise a family,
Yes. And that's a name probably a lot of our people that might stumble across this podcast that have been native to Carbon County will know the name Plateau Mining. I mean,
right.
was a huge employer here. I mean, I think probably anybody that's native to Carbon County has had family that worked for Plateau Mining, and that was quite an operation back in the day. So for sure, I bet that was stressful at times being the accounting firm at the helm of that. Because I mean, you're talking millions and millions of dollars that you guys were running through that operation, right?
Yeah, it was. We had a good staff. I mean, small but hardworking and good staff. And just really did everything accounting related, whether that was taking care of the payroll or the paying the bills, all the accounts payable, and the budgeting and analysis and so forth. So a lot to do in a mine that size, but. Again, here we were in small town with those that we had and everybody that was, that I was associated with, not just in my own department, but any department there at the mine. I mean, just good people and hardworking and solid, and willing to, I mean, if you need to put in extra time, you put in extra time, and that's just the way the industry was. And made a lot of good friendships there and really enjoyed all of those years at the mine and working in that field that I kind of chose originally to be in.
Yeah.
And, and really enjoyed that time.
Awesome. And obviously we didn't stay in accounting forever, because now you're here with us and kind of you're the one that even started this company that all of us now work at. What made you want to switch from corporate accounting to becoming a personal financial advisor?
Yeah, probably one of those situations you hear a lot of times that it takes some adversity for you to change a course or do something different. And I may have retired in the mining industry. I don't really know, but our Willow Creek mine closed down in the year 2000.
Yep.
And there were many of us out there looking for what are we going to do next. Mm-hmm. And we had some opportunities, our family, to kind of stay in accounting and finance, stay with the mining industry, maybe go work in the copper side of things or the gold side of things, or head back east. And we just decided we didn't want to chase that around anymore. And I'd always had we were kind of one of the go-to groups there at the mine site for those who are going, hey, what should I do with my 401k? Nobody will tell me anything, and I really don't know what to do. And they'd visit with us in the accounting department. Well, this is, and I'd be able to kind of analyze a few things that I was doing for myself and realize that, hey, there's just some key things you need to kind of understand and know about. We were able to help them. I was able to help quite a few people there, during those mining days. So when we were looking for a place to go, I thought I wouldn't mind being out on my own and being able to offer those kind of services and that kind of help to people, and even more so than just looking at a 401k plan. And so started really looking around locally, and Allstate Financial Services, so the Allstate group, was looking for financial professionals to come and help them in the Price area here, and so I was able to jump on board with Allstate and spent the first probably 10 years or so owning a couple of Allstate agencies here in town, as well as doing the financial services for them. And got to give a lot of credit to Mike Hamonis and Stacy Fry for their. They were the long-time Allstate agents who were retiring and getting ready to retire at that time, and gave me a chance to jump in with them and learn the insurance business, and then be able to continue to focus on the financial services side with Allstate during that first 10 years.
That's cool. And you've told me a couple times, but for the listeners, it's pretty cool. There's been quite a long chain of the Allstate business here in Price, right? And so you'd be able to speak to it better than I could, but it started as a booth in Sears. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. Sears and Allstate had combined, and this is back, many years ago. I mean, it seems like it was in, I don't recall exactly, but it goes clear back into the 30s and 40s and so forth. And so Mike Hamonis and Shirley Fry both started their careers standing in a booth in Sears. So everybody's in there shopping for all their goods and and hey, why don't we check out an auto policy? I
need me a ratchet and sockets and some life insurance, right?
or give me a quote on my auto. You know, so they really did. They were really quite amazing, being able to build the kind of business they did out of that Sears booth. Yeah. And then they continued for many years beyond Sears. They both each had their individual locations here in Price, and so it was just great, knowing the history behind that, and knowing what good work they did for so many people for so many years, And so when we took on those businesses and clients, and I mean, it was just of a big importance to us to say, let's continue that, that legacy of just being able to provide a really good, solid service and have clients that were with you for. I mean, they had clients that were with them for their entire careers. Probably 90% of their client base was there, for as long as they were. So that was pretty exciting, getting to be able to have a start like that, in the business.
That's awesome. That's one of the things that's kind of back to that small community thing, right? But it's interesting with our company, and I'm sure there's many others in town the same way, that it's kind of something that's built on a legacy of other hardworking individuals, right? And so
absolutely
started as a booth in Sears, and now we're a wealth management firm with a larger staff and still growing. And to see how, like you're saying, that the hard work and the ability to want to take care of people in their community kind of inspired you, and then that's kind of now inspired our business.
Absolutely.
And we have this legacy that doesn't tie just to us, but even before us, and hopefully long after us, of this chain of people that have been natives and wanting to make a difference in people's lives. And I think that's kind of a cool story to see how that started in such a little thing, and now it's grown and is even part of our company's legacy. So
yeah, it's kind of exciting to see that moving forward even from here. I stepped away from Allstate and sold the Allstate business to Don Manzanares, who today continues that tradition of taking care of those Allstate clients in really good fashion. And but kind of stepped away from that and went into the individual side of things, just focusing on financial planning, and being independent. Created our own independent business and focusing on just the financial planning, retirement planning, the investment world, and being able to kind of move that forward. So to the point that we're here today, and of course, we've been working together for the better part of 3 years now, and so to see you being able to be the face going forward for the next whole generation, 30 years to come plus. And
it's exciting stuff.
Just really exciting to be able to move that forward, and working, of course, with Gary Meeks, down at our location. And it really is. It's been quite a run to be able to see the progression and many years to come.
Yep. That's the dream, right? The next generation will be talking about us. There's this guy Van Mays and Garrett, and they did this, and now we've built on top of that. So hopefully that keeps going.
That's the goal.
What is it about helping people with wealth management? Is that something you kind of found doing before you even get paid for it? What is it about that you find fulfilling to help people answer those kind of questions?
Yeah, I think just helping people realize that it's not that difficult. It isn't something that they can't grasp fairly easily. I mean, and of course, I couldn't hold myself out as a planner or anything else when we were there at the mine. But as we sat around and just kicked around ideas on a 401k plan, and sometimes they didn't even know what a couple of the simple options were, what they could do with their plan, what they could not do with their plan, and just being able to help them understand that sometimes the financial decisions come down to some pretty basic types of things.
Yeah.
And being able to help somebody understand what it really means, for instance, to make sure you grab that company match, make sure you grab all of that match.
Yeah.
And we just sit there and have those kinds of discussions, not trying to guide them or direct them in any certain direction at that point in time. But just being able to know that they walked away with some knowledge that they didn't have before, that they go, oh, well, that wasn't very hard,
Yeah.
But sometimes it's just an awareness, of what you need to do and what you can do. And so I think that always felt good to me, to be able to really provide that kind of help.
Awesome. That's fantastic. As far as our current firm goes with the partners we have, and I tread with caution here, Van, because I don't want to make you feel like you're the old guy on the team, but
hey, I'm the old guy on the team.
You are the senior advisor of the three of us. And so of the three of us, you have the most experience in this field and in kind of all the fields you've been involved in. But as you kind of look back at your career, now that you're farther into it than the rest of us, what's been the most fulfilling part for you?
I think looking at being able to help people realize some of their goals that they had, being able to work with people long enough to maybe take total uncertainty on where they were headed, whether that's at the age of 35 or 45 or 60, not sure what the future was going to hold, not sure if they were ready for it, but being able to sit down, come up with a goal, come up with a plan, and let them know you can get there.
Yeah.
No matter where you're at, start now, start looking ahead, and being able to see, been at it long enough now to see a number of individuals and families, be able to reach these goals, be in retirement and enjoying retirement, and to me, that's just that is the ultimate satisfaction, is saying, you really kind of did your job, and you were able to help somebody attain, those goals.
Yeah.
And then develop great friendships along the way. I mean, they're just, lots of individuals again, and families and children of families, that have come to know through this business. I mean, it's been really rewarding to know that you're affecting not only the current generation that you're working with, but we've got, children of those families now that maybe we've been able to teach them something. Maybe we've been able to get them started. So I'd say that's the biggest satisfaction, is, seeing people really reach their goals and the kind of relationships, that we made along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. In your own words, Van, how would you say what we do adds value to individuals?
Well, I mean, it kind of comes down to if you really want to be ready to enjoy life, down the road as well as right now, there's got to be a balance. There's got to be a balance of having fun now, but planning for the future, and I think that the biggest difference we can make really is being able to, again, kind of lay out a game plan. You have to have some kind of a game plan. If you have no idea where you would like to go, it's pretty hard to get there. So you really have to have some kind of a plan. And so I think that that's what we can do at the outset is really kind of get the wheels turning for people in their minds about what's possible, regardless, again, of what stage they might be at or how much they did or didn't do in the past. A lot of people come into the planning for retirement or in the investment world feeling pretty fearful, either because they're behind or because they don't know enough or they don't know who to go to, they don't know what to do. And I think that we can bring that peace of mind. I think that's one of the biggest pieces that we can provide, and as people look to work with us, is just that peace of mind that no, we can put together something here that'll work.
Yeah.
And you can you don't have to worry about that day to day, and be able to know that you have something going forward. So yeah, peace of mind. I think one of the biggest compliments we usually hear, at least from a lot of our clients, after we've kind of prepared a plan, or we've got an idea on where we need to head now, is that we've just had many over the years walk out of the office saying, thanks, I feel better now. And just that, just thanks, I feel better now. Whatever the situation was, that just is always a great compliment, to know, okay, we allayed whatever fear there was or uncertainty there was. And so I think we can provide that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's me. That's one of my favorite, job satisfaction moments is when I hear those exact words from clients. Man, I feel so much better now I've talked to you. Or I feel so much better leaving this appointment today. It's always a good thing to hear. Money's an interesting thing, right? Because it's something that we all need, but it can be sometimes used for our benefit, for our detriment. For you, how does someone strike a healthy balance with money in their life?
Yeah, I think it probably comes down to, it's always easier on almost anything in life if you start early.
Yeah.
Whether that's, hey, you kept in shape from when you were younger all the way through, or whatever it might be, or you always eaten well, versus trying to decide how to eat, and your diet later on in life. But same thing with financial. I think that if you get an early start as a young kid, being able to maybe put a little bit of money away, be able to be taught the basics of money, which come down to some pretty simple, factors. And so I think what it comes down to there is just being able to start early, although most of us, in fact, most people that we deal with did not.
Yeah.
Everybody wishes they had started earlier.
Correct.
But start where you are and go from there. But some of the things that I think people really need to understand, the key points, is just always have something that you put away. Spend less than what you have.
Yep.
Always spend less than what you have. And if you do that, and then you learn a few basics of how to invest instead of just save for the car or the vacation or whatever it might be. If you can actually invest long term for the future, you can start putting together a pretty good plan. And then it's a matter of staying the course, because a lot of investing, and then again, we're talking long term versus short term, is really being consistent and staying the course. And so those who can really stay consistent over 5, 10, 30 years period of time, with that investment, and really understand, hey, I'm going to have interest and earnings work for me instead of against me. So it's really down to those few things, just being able to understand the basic principles, but then have enough, you got to be able to stick to the plan. So everybody can kind of have a bit of a goal or a plan out there, but then you have to have the ability to say, I'm going to stick with that. I'm going to actually make sure that happens. And that's usually one of the tougher parts, but something that we help people stay on track and be able to see that they're reaching those points along the way. And, thinking about that, Garrett, too, we've talked about this, and we'll probably do another episode on this at some point in time, but just as we try to educate, help in the education side of things, and be able to, talk about, the time value of money and interest and things like that. So we would like to, whether it's through a podcast or we, we have sessions in our office, different lunch and learns, whatever that might be, but we'd like to be able to just educate on some of those key principles and be able to help people understand that. I mean, even young kids, whether that's 16, 17, 18, as you have your initial jobs, and you're able to learn a little bit about how the markets work and about how investments work, and because it's not it's not difficult to understand. You just have to tune out the noise that's always out there, and that's one of another big thing that we try to really do in all of our work is just don't turn off the noise, turn off the terrible headlines that are always out there that are causing people to say, well, no, I'm definitely not going to invest now or do this now. World might end next week, so I don't think I'll plan anything. I mean, I've always been more of an optimist, and that optimism is what really has carried this country forward for since its founding. And so, and you got to believe that we're going to have good times ahead, and so you plan on those good times, and then deal with everything else that comes up. That maybe doesn't pan out as well, but
the opportunity's still there, right?
Plan.
Well, Van, thank you so much for taking the time. I know we're you especially, all of us, but we're busy sometimes, right? And it takes some time to do this, but
it's been fun.
Hope it's good for people to get to know you on a more personal level for those that may not, and get to know a little bit more about us. We also want to just thank everybody that's listening to this. We hope that this ends up being something that can reach a lot of people and makes a difference in a lot of people's lives. This will become more apparent as we get along, but just to remind you of is this really will be the place as a firm that we're going to kind of focus all the free resources we can give. We understand that when you're just getting started on this journey, I just got my first job, or I just found out what investing is and I want to get going, that sometimes it's intimidating or not even necessary to come and spend a lot of money to get things started. And so we want to make sure that we have these free resources so that as you get in that area that you can get started on your own. And hopefully anybody that hears this as we get into our more educational topics, that you'll be able to say, oh, I heard that, and now I can go do this and get on that right plan. And then eventually what happens with everybody, right, Van, and you see this all the time, I see it with my clients all the time, is we begin doing the right things, eventually our life becomes a little more complicated, right? Pretty soon we have enough assets that we've grown that's okay, now if I make a mistake, it's a pretty major mistake. Or there's some tax implications, or maybe something happened in my workplace plan that's more complicated than what we get into on the podcast. That would be an area where, it might be time to get some personal financial advice, time to really sit down with us one-on-one and look at your scenario specifically. And so we encourage you to use all the free resources we have to get wherever you need. But then once you hit a point where maybe you need something a little more personal, that's when you can reach out to our firm directly. We'd love to give that personal advice from you.
And make sure you jump on our website if you're not familiar with it, pfautah.com.
So www.pfautah.com. We're going to continue as we create these resources, put more and more on there. And then just a reminder that when you're looking for us, if you hear someone mention this show or mention us, you can find us on all of our social media channels. So we are on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Just under Pinnacle Financial Advisors. And we'll be creating a lot of this kind of content and putting out there besides just the podcast to help people financially. And then on YouTube is where you'll find the podcast. So if you're trying to share this with somebody or find a way to get it out to people, we have a YouTube channel, which also Pinnacle Financial Advisors. And that will allow you to get to kind of this long form content, these podcasts. And the one thing that I'd encourage, anybody that does, we're just starting out, so we know this won't start huge, but as people, stumble across this, if this is something you think is going to be valuable for you, please, we encourage you to like it, to subscribe it, so that we see that engagement and know that it's making a difference for people. And also, don't be afraid to reach out to us, whether on those social media channels, or you can email myself at garrett@pfautah.com. With any questions you'd like to see answered on this podcast. We'd love to see this become something eventually that we're able to get some feedback from our audience so that know that the education content we're giving suits what at the time is meaningful to you guys. Now, be aware that those kind of reach outs, we won't give personal advice on this platform ever, but then we at least kind of know the topics that could be educational for people. But on that, we want to thank everybody again for coming, and be looking for our next episode. We're going to be dropping these once a month to start, and then if things are going well, we might increase from there. So tune in for the next one, and we'll continue to introduce our team and then get into some great educational content.
Thanks. See you next time.